we, the defense team, excuse me, were contacted by a number of people and were sent clips of Marquand Washington's direct testimony. And in particular, and this was people watching Fox 6, etc., and of course I did not see this because I was up questioning him, but the clips were essentially, Judge, that you remember, I don't know if you remember the testimony about him describing Zach in his sleep, and he said, quote, die, 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 motherfucker, end quote.
We were required to get some sort of a clip of this interaction between myself and Mr. Washington.
I did not sign any order.
Okay.
I issued a subpoena to Law&Crime, and they provided it for me, and so if there's some foundational question, I have somebody available.
Thanks.
Law and
Crime. In that second meeting, that was to prepare you for your testimony that you gave last week, right?
If that's what you call it, I guess. I don't know.
That was the topic of the discussion, wasn't it?
It was, yes, to let me know everything that I had told them that they had went over it and stuff like that, correct.
So they went over with you sort of reviewed what you had already told them?
Pretty much, yes.
All the stuff about Zach's sleeping habits, right?
They just repeated what I had said to them, yes.
So they were repeating stuff to you from the reports they written from your first meeting?
Yeah, they read what I had said and let me know that they had made a statement about it, yes.
Did they show you that statement?
I didn't get to read it or no.
Okay, so they just told you what you had said?
Correct.
Okay. And was it Mr. Gravely was doing that?
Yes.
Okay. And was anybody else talking, or was it mainly him?
Mr. Gravely.
Okay. And
I
so,
didn't hear you, sir.
Mr. Gravely.
So he told you, this is what you said before, this is what you said before, this is, just went right down the line, right?
Pretty much, yes.
Okay. And was this the point where he was saying, well, if you stick to this, I'm gonna look out for you, and I'm gonna go to bat for you with the federals?
He never said that.
Okay. So, but that was your understanding, right?
What do you mean?
That was your understanding that if you said the things that he was saying in that meeting, if you said them on the stand, then he would go to bat for you. That was your understanding.
If you look at it, I guess so, yeah.
Okay. So when you actually testified, when you were in that seat last Thursday, I believe it was, you had made a comment about Zach saying, quote, die, 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 motherfucker. Do you remember that?
Correct.
And while you were speaking those words, you were looking directly at Mr. Gravely, weren't you?
I'm not sure who I was looking at the time.
Okay.
He asked me, I think he had asked me the question, so I may have been looking at him, but I'm not sure.
Okay. And as you were mouthing those words, he was mouthing them back at you, wasn't he?
I can't say I recall that. I don't remember that.
Okay. You don't have a recollection of that?
Correct.
Would it refresh your recollection if I played you a clip?
Yes.
I don't know if we can get it louder.
What do you remember about that?
I remember I was laying there. I told him about the next day that I was laying there, and I moved my foot, and I heard him shout before he woke up.
What did he shout when you heard?
He said, die, 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 motherfucker.
So it's a little...
Yeah.
And so, did you ever have a discussion with the defendant about this nightmare that you heard?
So that's not a perfect representation, given that there's some slag, some lag.
Well, the pending question is
Does it refresh his
Whether
recollection?
it refreshes his recollection.
Right, correct. So do you remember, as you were speaking those words, Mr. Gravely mouthing them towards you?
It seemed like as I said it, he got to repeating it, but it didn't seem like he said it first or repeated it to me or something, if that's what you're asking.
I'm asking if it looked like he was mouthing them towards you as you said them.
Right there,
No, I'm saying from your memory, not from what you just saw.
from what I remember,
Yeah.
I didn't remember that, but
Okay. All right. So to answer the question is you don't recall that happening while you were testifying last week?
correct.
You believe we've spoken twice?
I believe so.
First time was over in the facility with several officers present.
Correct.
Took a little more than an hour.
I believe so, yes.
And you outlined what you had heard from Zachariah Anderson in as much detail as you could provide to the several people who were present.
Objection.
Correct.
He's couching. He's flavoring the answer for the witness.
I'm allowed to lead.
It is cross-examination.
Is that the case?
Correct.
Okay. And the second time we met, it appeared to you that the purpose was to prepare you for the trial.
I believe so.
Okay. Did you understand the trial was already going on?
Yes.
Did we spend around a half hour together?
Give or take.
Okay. And did I ask you whether did you and I go through the items that you had previously told myself and law enforcement at that previous meeting in January?
Yes.
And were there multiple people present for that meeting as well?
Yes.
Okay. And during that time period, the second meeting, did I ever use any phrase like that I would go to bat for you? Did I ever say anything any even approaching that?
No.
In fact, you are a person who has a federal prosecutor involved in your case, correct?
Correct.
Are you aware of any ability I would have to directly impact your case?
No.
Is it your understanding that the way this would work is if you are honest in your testimony that your attorney would let the federal prosecutor know and they would make a decision on your case?
Correct.
Do you think that I am in any way a decision maker on what happens next in your case?
No.
Now, you were asked if something refreshed your memory, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And what was your perception of what you saw?
Sound like you was repeating what you already knew I was pretty much finna say after I had started saying it.
So you were saying something, and I was saying those words after I heard you?
Correct.
Now, you were asked several questions about, time you've been in prison and in the jail. Have you ever been a person who informed on individuals previous to this time?
No.
And have you informed on anyone else in this federal prosecution case other than Mr. Anderson?
I object. What's the possible relevance of this? This is exactly what he was seeking to keep out.
And was, go ahead.
Shame on me for not interrupting sooner. Rephrase your question.
You testified in Racine on a case you were an eyewitness to, correct?
Correct.
And other than that, have you provided any information to law enforcement about any other cases?
No.
No?
No.
Were you housed with individuals charged with first-degree homicide named Renan Brownlee? Was he somebody you were housed with at some time?
Yes.
Did you ever inform on him?
No.
Objection. Same objection, Judge.
That's
How is this possibly
that's
relevant?
Sustained.
Well,
State versus Tabor.
talk about the security dorm for a second, okay?
Yes.
Is that, if you know, is that called HW?
You talking about the hole?
Yep.
I believe so. Yes.
Okay.
Hollywood.
And can you describe how that is put together? Like, are the cells like circular where they all face each other? Are there multiple levels? What do you remember about it?
It's kind of like cells that's covered up with little bitty holes in them that you could barely see through because you can't really see through them. And there's an upstairs and a downstairs where we can't really see who we talking to or really talk to nobody. And the cell that I was in was far to the back under the stairs.
Okay, so if I told you you were in 09, does that sound familiar?
I believe so.
And is that in the first floor?
That's the first floor, correct?
Okay, there's a second tier as well?
Correct.
Can you, you were on the far end?
Correct.
Do you know where cell or bed 20 is?
I believe that's way on the other end.
Okay, and is it upstairs or downstairs, if you know?
I think it's upstairs.
Okay, so is it your memory of the whole that somebody on the first floor in 9 would be able in any real way to communicate with somebody who was in the second floor in 20?
You would be yelling and talking to everybody, so I can't see no person really doing that.
And if I indicated to you you were in the hole from March 2nd to March 22 to March 5th, 22. I'm sorry, I apologize. February 2nd, 22 to February 5th, 22 in bed 9. Does that sound familiar?
Yes.
Okay. And while you were in during that period of time, from February 2nd, 22 to February 5th, 22, were there any other inmates in the hole during that period of time?
I believe there was, but I didn't know nobody.
Have you ever been in the hole where only one or maybe two beds were the only ones taken, or is it always occupied with more people in your belief?
Every time that I went, it was always occupied.
By
Multiple different individuals.
Now, Mr. Washington, do you perceive there being a physical danger in being a person who would be a federal inmate who would become known as a person who had jumped cases or informed on people?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Would you ever be a person who would yell out loud
No.
in a jail? Well, let me finish. In a jail setting, recommendations or details about how to be an informant?
No,
Why not?
because that's not something you want to be in here and for everybody to know that you're an informant. So let's just put it out there for everybody to know, because you could be all type of. You could be beat up, you could be ridiculed, you could be everything. It's not safe to do nothing like that, and I wouldn't do nothing like that.